Hello and welcome. This is Let's Connect, and I'm Rishira Ganguly. Today we are joined with the talented actress and director of one of the short films from the upcoming Netflix anthology, Ajeeb Daastaans. Here to talk about Khilauna, we have Nushratt Bharuchha and Raj Mehta. Thank you for joining me in this interview. How are you today?
Hi, we're good.
Hi,
Rishira. How
Risha.
are
Very
you?
good. How are you doing?
I am fine. I mean, the summer is raging on, but at least we're indoors right now due to the lockdown.
That's true. That's true. Summer's not the only thing raging on. There's another virus
Oh,
that's
yes.
also raging on. So anyway, I'm surprised you said summer before Corona. That's very surprising, actually.
I mean, you kind of get used to something which prolongs, for a
For a
long
year
time.
and the summer has just come. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
okay. So, first of all, I want to congratulate you on such a mind blowing film. I mean, I was so surprised. I watched the film and I was so surprised by the end of it. There are so many red herrings that by the time the film reaches the climax, you're kind of, shocked out of your wits. So, Raj, sir, you said that the story was inspired by true events, and there is also sort of, twisted fairy tale esque concept, which is kind of seen in stories like Hansel and Gretel. So, when did the ideation and how did the ideation of the script kind of start?
so this story, Risha, was actually brought to me at Dharma. It was written by by writer Sumit Saxena, who brought it to Dharma, and then it was eventually passed on to me when I was looking to do a short. And when I read it, I was just blown away by the story, and I really enjoyed. So it's not based on a true story as such, but there's an incident in the film that actually happened towards the end, which you would probably know, and we won't talk about because it'll be a spoiler. But that incident actually happened, and then Sumit kind of took that and built a story around it. And then when he brought it to me, we sat and ideated, and we basically just came up with, we tried to make the film bigger than what it was. It was initially a who done it, essentially, which was, there's something that's happened, and then you kind of find out how that happened and who's done it. But then we decided to make it slightly bigger thematically by so Khilauna essentially was literally a toy in the film earlier. But now we got the idea that, and Sumit got the idea also, that we can perhaps make it bigger and let Khilauna be two different kinds of people for each other, and that's what essentially it is right now, is that those two different kinds of people who come from different backgrounds are a Khilauna for each other, which I think made it bigger as a film and give it a bigger dimension and a definition. And yeah, and that's what excited me. I was really excited to read the story when I read it. So that's how it came about, and then we started, kind of shooting it.
That is so brilliant because you kind of have the foundation and then you build this whole
Right, right.
story around it. And Nushrat, your character kind of, I mean, it is the focal point, and then it kind of everything revolves around you, but then suddenly it doesn't, and by the end of it, you're like, oh wait, I might have lost track, or what is happening? And so you're, as an actor, you have to decide if a certain story suits you and if the story gives you space to kind of exercise your acting prowess. So what really attracted you to Khilauna as a story?
Actually, I don't think I take up a story or a film depending on what suits me and whether it can let me, showcase my acting prowess. I don't think like that. I think I've always looked at a film or read a film or heard a narration from an audience point of view. I suddenly become that girl sitting in Chandan or Giddy Galaxy watching a film and either loving it or hating it. Either wanting to get up and dance to the songs or say, okay, I'm just going to get a popcorn, take a break from the film. So I completely think from an audience point of view, if a story engages me, if it keeps me wanting to know more and wanting to see more, then I want to be part of the film. Then whether it's a whodunit, whether it's a romantic comedy or it's an all and out comedy like Dream Girl, whatever it is the film is made for, I just feel like if I enjoy that, then I want to be part of it. It's after that do I think that what am I doing in the film and what can I add to the film, not actually what the film can give me. I've never thought from that point of view. But yeah, this film, when I read it, it was definitely dark. But I honestly thought they probably tone it down a bit because it was Dharma. And just generally, I don't think they'll go all out. I'm sure there'll be some filter, something they'll do to it. And then I met Raj, which is great, because if I had not met him, I'd probably say, I don't know. But then I met him.
Means what? Do I look like a dark guy? What does that mean?
No, what I mean is, will you let me finish my answer? Then you'll know.
Okay.
You know, that's the point of a question. There is an answer. So I met him, and for those 2 hours, we really vibed. We actually connected on a lot of things, and we chatted about everything but the film. And somewhere I just felt like he's going to do this film really well. I don't know why. I just felt like shooting this film is going to be a lot of fun. And he was very clear that he wanted to make it exactly the way it is written. And that was the point. And it was a little shocking for me, because he had obviously done Good News, which had not come out then, but I knew what the film was. And I was like, you sure you're going to do this? And he's like, yeah. And he was very excited and interested about it. And it was his sort of thing that kind of infectiously came on to me. And I said, you know what, we're going to have fun. Let's just do this. So I took that step because he was that excited about it. Yeah. There.
You're, of course, very right when you say that the story is very different, and it has darker undertones. And Raj, sir, you're working on such a project is completely very different from what you've worked on before. So I want to ask you, did you think that this kind of a film, which is not seen in mainstream Bollywood, it kind of deserves the Netflix spotlight, and it kind of deserves a global platform such as this for the story to be told?
Wow. I don't think all of these thoughts come into your mind as a filmmaker and as someone who likes to watch different stories and hopefully get an opportunity to say different stories. You just look at the story, and when you read it, you're like, okay, this is something really nice, and I think I can play around with it and make it very nice. And I think, it could turn out to be a very nice film. What spotlight it deserves or what platform it deserves and all of that is not in my hands. Thankfully, I think I have the advantage of being associated with a production house which for a fact is going to showcase it and mount it well and do justice to it in terms of the production aspect of it. Now, my job as a director is to make sure creatively I say it correctly, but I think it's not my job to kind of think about how it's going to be showcased or what's going to be done with that. That's the producers and Dharmatics' job, which, I think you can fairly say that I could trust them with that. So I don't think I thought about all of those things. It was just a very interesting script when I read it, and I kept reading it again and again, and I kept discovering new things about the story, which is what excited me. So I just wanted to make that. I don't think all of that was in my, realm of thought at that point. Yeah.
That's great. But this kind of a story, I think, not seen in commercial cinema so much. I think with a global platform like Netflix, the actors, the story, it reaches such a global audience. I think it will gain that spotlight, I guess. And I want to ask Nushratt, this kind of a spotlight which you're getting right now, is it's very different from the characters that you've played earlier. So what were the kind of table discussions that you had to kind of bring alive your avatar on screen with both Abhishek and your director, Raj sir?
I think the first main question is to be able to bring life to her in a sort of real space where you can believe that this girl actually exists and this is her life, this is where she comes from, these are her problems, these are her emotions. And somewhere, of course, she's great. I mean, she knows that she's doing things to just get by, which normally probably aren't right things to do, but she justifies them because she has to survive. So I think that whole thing of doing it because there's no other option. You've got to do that to be able to live a life and have her kid sister also have that life. To just be able to understand where she comes from, what those thoughts are, not judge her, not kind of make her right and wrong right at the beginning, to let that story and that character just be, just live with that for a while, and you'll understand it even more with the more time you spend with her and the story. So those were the table discussions, as to how to really bring her to life. What could we do to kind of, believe it? Honestly, I think the bigger challenge is it's a 30-minute film, right? In a longer 2-hour film, you have the time to set it up. You have more scenes to explain to the audience, this is who your character is. So the audience is invested. Similarly, in a web series, because you have 8 hours, 8 episodes, 10 episodes, you're so invested in the characters and the story that that just becomes real. But in a 30-minute film, we got to do that with that same sort of intensity and honesty in a shorter span. So you got to be on point and cue and 100% prepared in every scene. You can't say that इसमें इतना करती हूँ अगले सीन में convincingly कर दूंगी, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. And that goes for everybody, from writer, director to actors. So that's what the challenge was, and that's what honestly I had most fun doing. So yeah.
That's great. And honestly, I think the hard work paid off on screen, because Nushratt, you were so, I mean, I don't know, you were completely fresh and you were so amazing on screen. I loved your character, and I loved how bold she is, and I loved how, I mean, not afraid of anyone she is. And that's the kind of roles I think women like me, girls, younger girls who are, who watch films, they want to see on screen. I mean, because your role is kind of, I mean, it does not listen to the patriarchal notions of how a woman should be like. And Raj, you've done a brilliant job with the character sketches. It's very real. It's rooted in reality, and yet there is that shocking factor that comes at the end, and you're just kind of, I mean, you're standing still and the time is moving on. So thank you so much for joining me in this interview. It was lovely to have this discussion about such a brilliant film with the people behind it.
Thank you.
I wish people see the real themes of class divide and consent that is under the surface of the story, and enjoy it as much as I did, maybe even more. So all the best for Ajeeb Daastaans and of course Khilauna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Very sweet of you.